Coming up on Good Morning Northwest, we'll hear from nurses in Oregon who are demanding safer working conditions.
Plus, an Idaho representative is turning heads with a proposal to breach the Snake River dams.
And we're getting ready for a big drop in temperatures as we take you throughout your week. Your forecast, it's coming up.
From Camp KVUE Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and thank you for waking up with us on this Monday morning. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend and enjoyed it, because Kristen, you mentioned that it's going to be getting colder this week.
It is. You know, we have to remember it's still February. We still are going to see some winter weather. I know we've been spoiled by some fairly mild temperatures over the last week or so, although that has been accompanied by some winds. But let's talk about your forecast as you head on out the door this morning. So we're going to see temperatures gradually starting to drop as we move throughout your week, and even early this morning. It is a bitterly cold start. We are down below that freezing mark early this morning. So look at some of our temperatures right now. 26 currently in the Tri-Cities, upper 20s from Prosser into Hanford. Now we are above freezing from Walla Walla into Pendleton. A little bit of some drizzle out the door for you, and we are looking at those numbers in the upper 20s over into Yakima. So you can see some of those light returns mainly in the northern blues this morning. We're still looking at a little bit of some mountain snow. Other than that, we're looking at a pretty quiet start early this morning. As a matter of fact, the sunshine will return for us today. 44 at lunchtime and then 47 by later on this afternoon. So again, looking at that big temperature drop, look at how low those temperatures will go, and then also some snow chances moving in as well. Your full forecast, it's all coming up.
Thank you, Kristen. Kittitas County's COVID-19 vaccine waitlist officially reopens today. Anyone who has not signed up for the previous waitlist now can. Officials say to register, just go to the Kittitas County Incident website and fill out your information. You should also make sure to check your vaccine eligibility using the Department of Health's Phase Finder website before you sign up. All the details you can find on yaktrinews.com. 1 million Moderna COVID-19 vaccine doses will be sent to pharmacies across the country this week. The vaccines are directly from the federal government, not from supply already provided to states. The Biden administration announced this week that the vaccine rollout will launch on February 11th. The nation's pharmacies will still be required to follow state-level eligibility requirements when administering the vaccines. Altogether, they'll have the capacity to administer 100 million doses in 30 days, but they will need enough doses to do so. The critical issue has been the limited supply of vaccine. The CDC reports that 41 million doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered so far in the U.S. That's over 2 million more doses reported since Saturday. With that total, the 7-day average is now improved to 1.4 million doses per day. Of the 40 million doses administered, just over 31.5 million of those have received their first dose. CDC data shows that a little over 9 million people have now gotten both doses to be fully vaccinated.
An investigation from company 3M revealed that several hospitals in Washington unintentionally purchased counterfeit N95 masks. Hospitals received a notice from 3M warning of counterfeit N95 masks circulating the national supply of PPE. This prompted a number of hospitals to submit masks to the health company for inspection. According to Hospital Association, 3M flagged several lots of the masks as potentially coming from counterfeiters. WSHA is waiting for the rest of their masks lots to be reviewed. 2 more inmates at Airway Heights Correction Center have died due to COVID-19. The correction center said both people had underlying medical conditions and passed away in late January. 5 inmates at correction centers have died since the pandemic began. A total of 13 inmates died in custody of the Washington State Department of Corrections. 2 Washington State correctional officers have also died of COVID-19. At last checked, Airway Heights Corrections Center has 238 COVID-19 cases in the last 30 days. Oregon health officials say they are expecting chaos this week when about 167,000 people who are 80 years or older become eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. In preparation for the drastic increase of eligible people, Governor Kate Brown announced Friday that additional National Guard members will be deployed to help with the state's 211 system. They will field calls and texts from seniors signing up and seeking information on vaccines. Oregon officials opted to prioritize teachers before the elderly in an attempt to get children back to in-person learning faster. Over the weekend, nurses with the Oregon Nursing Association held a rally at Providence in Portland to demand safer working conditions. Those nurses want Providence to implement what they call the COVID Bill of Rights. It consists of several measures nurses want guaranteed in the workplace, like safe staffing levels, appropriate PPE, pandemic leave, and prompt exposure notifications. Nurses at the rally said these should be minimum steps the hospital should be taking to ensure employee and patient safety.
We're both longtime Providence employees, and we would like Providence to return to its values that it states it holds, which is to protect its people and to protect its patients.
Providence has since said it's committed to workplace safety, saying it does offer testing to exposed nurses and does have adequate access to PPE. The hospital also said it is trying to alleviate staffing shortages by hiring and training new nurses. A bill to ban use of Native American mascots on high school sports teams in Washington had a public hearing over the weekend in Olympia. The bill seeks to ban Native American names, symbols, and images for use as public school mascots, logos, or team names as of next January 1st. Washington state has 29 tribes. The bill contends that the use of such names and symbols singles out Native Americans for cultural appropriation. The bill also says it fails to respect the cultural heritage of Native Americans or promote a productive relationship between governments. This brings us to our poll question of the day. Do you think Washington should ban the use of Native American mascots in schools? Vote now on yaktrynews.com/vote, and we'll have those results at the end of the show. A Republican congressman is proposing removing 4 hydroelectric dams in the Northwest. This as part of a sweeping plan to address the decades-long problem of how to save salmon populations without upending a system that provides power to millions of people. The $33.5 billion proposal from Representative Mike Simpson of Idaho was announced Saturday. It would breach 4 dams on the lower Snake River by the end of the next decade. It would also pay for finding ways to replace the dam's key roles in energy, agriculture, and transportation. It's being met with cautious optimism among some on both sides of the issue, but there's still plenty of skepticism.
It's now time to raise the flag here on Good Morning Northwest with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has won the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for his charitable work. By winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, Wilson gets a $250,000 donation to Russell and Sierra's Why Not You Foundation, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, children's health, and fighting poverty. The award is one of the most prestigious honors given to an NFL player. Wilson was in Tampa to accept it. Here's some of what he had to say.
2020 was the most difficult times in history. Losing a sports icon like Kobe and a movie star in Chadwick, witnessing losing George Floyd right in front of our eyes, Ahmaud and Breonna and so many others. The loss of so many because of this monster of a pandemic called COVID-19. We've lost so many things. But Dad, I wish you were here to tell the world love changes things.
He's the second Seahawk to earn the award. Steve Largent also won it back in 1988. Coming up on Good Morning Northwest, a busy week ahead in D.C. as Trump's Senate impeachment trial gets underway and talks about a COVID relief package continue.
Now, KapKView First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And I hope you had the chance to enjoy some of those mild temperatures over the weekend, especially on Friday. We hit 64 degrees. We were 1 degree away from tying the record, which was 65 degrees, set all the way back in 1917. So we are going to head in the opposite direction as we take you throughout the work week. It's definitely going to feel a whole lot like winter. Temperatures are going to be turning colder. Now, we will have a sunny and quiet start to the work week, but we're talking about low temperatures in the teens. And once you factor in some of the winds that we're going to be seeing by the end of the week, single-digit wind chills are even expected. And then, yes, we're talking about some snow chances as well by the end of the work week as well. Notice the big drop in temperatures, especially by the end of the work week. Typically, for us for this time of the year, 47 degrees is where we sit at. Coldest day here, looks like it's going to be on Friday. Snow chances will be ending on Friday, but 22 degrees for that high, and still looking at numbers only in the 20s as we head into the upcoming weekend. So not much of a rebound in our temperatures for the upcoming weekend. Temperatures even out the door this morning. We're starting off in the 20s, 26 in the Tri-Cities, 28 degrees over into Hanford. Yakima early this morning, you're at 28. We are above freezing, though, for the foothills of the Blues, and that's where we're looking at maybe a little bit of some drizzle early this morning, as we have even those winds that are still picking up for you early this morning. Pendleton, your sustained wind up to 16. Most of the area, though, looking at a pretty calm start with those winds after the winds were pretty breezy over the weekend. Pretty calm and quiet in the Columbia Basin and in the Yakima Valley, but we still have a little bit of some snow flying in the northern Blues, the eastern slopes, and even back through the Cascades. As a matter of fact, the Cascades are under that winter weather advisory until 4 o'clock today. And the eastern slopes will see those improvements a little bit earlier than that. That goes until about 7 a.m. this morning. But there are still some travel restrictions, of course, if you're going to be heading through those mountain passes early this morning, as you can still see some of the activity that we have back through the Cascades. Still snowing pretty hard at times through Snoqualmie Pass, so chains are required. And then we also have traction tires required for both White and Stevens Pass. Just some scattered clouds for Manastash. But as we get you through the next couple of days with Futurecast, again, we're going to be enjoying some sunshine as those temperatures continue to drop. There's Tuesday afternoon, pretty quiet for the Pacific Northwest. Even by the middle of the week, still quiet. And then all eyes towards the end of the work week. That's when our snow chances will start to build in. So expect just an icy commute as you head on out the door for Thursday afternoon. The snow continues to come down, and the snow will linger through early Friday morning as well. Temperatures for today, we're going to be a little bit colder than yesterday. 45 in Yakima, jumping up to about 47 in the Tri-Cities, with 46 degrees in Prosser. And then over into Walla Walla and Pendleton will be in the low 40s. So for tonight, we are looking at just a cold night as those numbers fall down into the 20s across the area. So look ahead to your 7-day forecast. Again, enjoying some of that sunshine through the middle of the week. Temperatures each and every day getting colder. Snow chances building in by the end of the work week, and even will continue possibly into our day on Saturday with another system. 25 there on Saturday. And then your 7-day forecast for Yakima. Some sunshine there on Wednesday, still at 35. And then you can see those snow chances building in Thursday and into Friday.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, Trump's second impeachment trial continued talks about a stimulus relief package and a broadening of COVID-19 vaccination sites. That's part of what's on the table in D.C. this week. Melissa Rainey has details.
A busy week ahead in Washington. The impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump gets underway Tuesday. While House impeachment managers sought testimony from Trump on his conduct surrounding the deadly January 6th insurrection, his legal team refused. Some Senate Republicans say they already know the outcome.
Zero chance of conviction. 45 Republicans have said it's not even a legitimate proceeding, so it's really over before it starts.
Even so, it's a procedure many senators want to see through.
I think we have a constitutional responsibility to hold this trial.
My job is going to be to listen to both sides of this, evaluate the arguments, and make a decision.
Also this week, continued talks on President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief plan. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the U.S. could reach full employment next year if Congress passes Biden's proposal, and warns that the country's unemployment rate could remain high over the next few years without the additional federal support.
My predecessor, has indicated that there's a chance that this will cause inflation to rise. And that's also a risk that we have to consider. I've spent many years studying inflation and worrying about inflation. And I can tell you we have the tools to deal with that risk if it materializes. But we face a huge economic challenge here and tremendous suffering in the country. We've got to address that. That's the biggest risk.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
President Biden's stimulus package also includes increased funding for COVID-19 vaccinations and testing. On Thursday, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell told Biden in a letter that every NFL stadium will be available to become a vaccination site.
One local bike shop hosted a donation drop-off Saturday morning. Organizers with the Wheelhouse Community Bike Shop in historic downtown Kennewick say they took a major financial hit due to COVID-19. So events like this have become necessary to help them keep their lights on.
Getting the donations in this weekend will allow us to restart up our educational programs, restart up our volunteer program, get the bikes refurbished, and then we'll be setting up an online store.
You can help them out too. Just go onto their website at wheelhouse.bike and click on the donate tab. An Ellensburg food bank held a yard sale over the weekend with a twist. Everything was free. Apoyo Food Bank has been donating furniture, clothing, and household items for more than 2 decades and has been storing them in a borrowed shipping container. This weekend, they cleared it out and set up a yard sale where people could shop for whatever they want without having to pay. The food bank is in need of cold weather gear, particularly heavy winter coats, warm blankets, and quilts. People can still donate to the yard sale. We have a link to make a donation on our website, yaktrinews.com. Reservations for the 2021 Richland Community Garden season start today. You can choose to reserve your plot for multiple locations in Richland. Prices start at $25 for a 5-foot by 10-foot plot and go up to as much as $50. Just go online to Richland's Parks and Recreation website for more details.
All right, let's get you over to that close to home forecast at 5:56. Now, we are expecting the sunshine to return for today, but it is going to be a little bit colder compared to what we had over the weekend. You can see numbers for today. We're going to be back into the 40s, 47 in Burbank, 47 degrees as well for Pasco. Benton City today jumping up to about 48 degrees. Now, it is still going to be a bit breezy here along the foothills of the Blues. Some of your wind gusts today could be up to about 25 miles per hour. A little bit of some drizzle early on, otherwise partly sunny. Pendleton at 43, 47 degrees today in Stanfield. Prescott jumping up to about 43. And then you should be enjoying some sunshine as well here along the Yakima Valley. Zilla at 46, Yakima today at 45, Natchez at 43. We're looking at a little bit of a mix for some locations, especially up in Cle Elum this morning at 37, and then turning partly sunny. Vantage today at 43.
And check this out at 5:57. Officials at Key West International Airport in Florida have a new high-tech friend in the fight against coronavirus. Its name is R2-Key2, an obvious play on the famous Star Wars robot. R2-Key2 works by beaming out high-intensity ultraviolet UVC wavelength light. The light is meant to remove 99.9% of harmful airborne and surface pathogens. The nearly 6-foot-tall robot moves around the terminal and other interior spaces at night after the airport closes to the public.
The robot is now keeping the Key West International Airport cleaner and safer for all who come through the Florida Keys.
In December, the Key West International Airport became one of the first in the nation to implement one of these machines. The city says R2-Key2 can disinfect the entire interior in just 2.5 hours. Way to go, R2-Key2. Wow, what? However you say his name.
R2-Key2.
R2-Key2.
Yes.
Love
yes. Very impressive.
Yeah, pretty cool. I want one for my house. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, hospitals in Washington are being warned that they may have unintentionally purchased several shipments of counterfeit N95 masks.
Plus, another Seattle police officer is now under investigation for being in D.C. during the Capitol riots. Good Morning Northwest continues right now.
From Camp KVUE Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and thanks for starting your work week with us. I'm Monica Petrozelli. According to Kristen, it sounds like we're going to have it kind of easy today compared to later on in the week.
You know, we're going to gradually head down into the 20s for highs. Yes, it is going to be very, very cold. Winter isn't over just yet, so hopefully you had a chance. I know it was windy over the weekend, but hopefully you had a chance to enjoy some of that sun and mild temperatures. But let's talk about your morning, what you can expect if you're heading back to work early on this morning. We're looking at some quiet conditions in the downtown Yakima area. Most locations early this morning, we are down into the 20s. There are a few spots, though, along the foothills where we're hanging on to numbers just above freezing. There's 35 right now in Walla Walla, Hermiston at 36. We're down into the mid-20s right now in the Tri-Cities, and then 27 for Yakima. Now, there is a little bit of some mountain snow. Most locations looking at a quiet start early this morning, just a few clouds, but we should see some sunshine returning for today. So there's your Monday forecast. 44 at lunchtime with that high temperature today of 47 degrees. So these temperatures continue to drop. We're even tracking some snow chances to move in. I'll tell you when you can expect it. Your full forecast, Monica, it's coming up.
Thank you so much, Kristen. The Kennewick Police Department is asking for help finding 2 robbery suspects. Police say 2 people entered Grand Central Coffee Station on Clearwater Avenue Friday night just before 10. Now, no one was hurt, but the suspects got away after robbing the clerk. Police searched the area but weren't able to find them. If you have any information, Kennewick officers ask that you give them a call. Kennewick police are investigating a burglary at a local dental office. Last night, Kennewick police were dispatched to a business alarm at Creekside Dental. A back window had been broken there. With the help of a K-9, the building was searched, but no one was found inside. It's unknown if anything was taken. The incident is under investigation. In West Richland, deputies suspect a drunk driver crashed a UGV, sending 4 people to the hospital Sunday morning. The Benton County Sheriff's Office says the crash happened on Canal Drive in West Richland. Authorities say there were 5 people in the UTV when the driver ran off the road and crashed. Medics took 4 of the people to the hospital with injuries, some serious. While the crash is still under investigation, alcohol is believed to have played a factor. And authorities say an Othello man was likely intoxicated when he crashed his car on 395 before it burst into flames. The crash was about 10 miles north of Pasco. Washington State Patrol says 20-year-old Anthony Vargas Martinez was speeding northbound on 395. He then lost control of his vehicle, causing it to roll. Vargas Martinez was able to get out of the car and walk away before it was engulfed in flames. Medics took him to the hospital with minor injuries. He was cited for DUI and negligent driving.
Authorities have announced that a 6th Seattle police officer is now under investigation for being in Washington, D.C. during the violent U.S. Capitol insurrection. The Seattle Police Department said on its blog that the officer admitted to being there. The Office of Police Accountability initially began investigating 2 Seattle officers after photos on social media showed them in D.C. on January 6th. Officers were told at the time to report to their supervisors if they had been there. Police didn't say when the officer made the report. A black man who was shot by police in Clark County on Friday is expected to die of his injuries. Vancouver police said Saturday that 30-year-old Genoa Donald was still in the hospital after being shot Thursday evening during a traffic stop in the Hazeldale area. The Vancouver NAACP branch issued a statement Saturday on behalf of his family, saying that Donald would soon be removed from life support and they are preparing for his funeral. The sheriff's office said 1 of 4 deputies involved opened fire, but haven't detailed what led up to the shooting. The family is demanding answers and transparency, but have asked people not to protest, noting the many protests that have consumed Portland and Seattle. An investigation from company 3M revealed that several hospitals in Washington unintentionally purchased counterfeit N95 masks. Hospitals received a notice from 3M warning of counterfeit N95 masks circulating the national supply of PPE. This prompted a number of hospitals to submit masks to the health company for inspection. According to the Hospital Association, 3M flagged several of masks lotted, numbers potentially being sent from counterfeiters. WSHA is waiting for the rest of their mask lots to be reviewed. 2 more inmates at Airway Heights Correction Center have died due to COVID-19. The Correction Center said both people had underlying health conditions and passed away in late January. 5 inmates at the Correction Center have now died since the pandemic began. A total of 13 inmates have died in custody of Washington State Department of Corrections. 2 Washington State correctional officers have also died of COVID-19. And at last checked, Airway Heights Correction Center has had 238 COVID-19 cases over the last 30 days. A partnership between Central Washington University and the Washington State Department of Health has helped train more than 1,000 COVID-19 contact tracers since last fall. Now the 2 state institutions are considering ways they can work together on future initiatives. The remote case investigation and contact tracing training program utilizes a separate instance of CWU's Canvas education platform, so the state can provide instruction to those who want to help protect people in their communities from COVID-19. The DOH expects to offer additional training sessions, which could boost the total number of trainees by as many as 200. It's been 5 months since the Babb fire tore through Malden and Pine City, and the towns have been waiting that same amount of time for an approved FEMA disaster declaration. Last week, the declaration was finally approved. According to FEMA, a town must submit project plans to the federal government. The agency will cover at least 75% of the costs. The money would be given to the state, then dispersed throughout the town. The declaration would help rebuild places like post office or fire stations. It will also help with roads, power lines, and tidying up the town. Welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. Super Bowl 55 was one like we've never seen before. 25,000 fans in the stands, 7,500 of them vaccinated healthcare workers brought in by the league. There were even 30,000 cutout fans, which had many at home watching, thinking the stadium was nearly full. The Buccaneers beat last year's champions 31-9. And for the second time in franchise history, the Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. And for the 7th time in his career, Tom Brady is a Super Bowl champion.
I think everybody, believed we could win. So that, I think through the last, really all year we believed in ourselves. Our coaches believed in us. We believed in ourselves. And again, we were going up against a great team tonight and just happy we got the job done.
The MVP award went to Brady, his 5th time winning the award. This Super Bowl win gives him more than any franchise in NFL history. Coming up on Good Morning Northwest, find out why House Republicans now want the fencing around the U.S. Capitol to be removed.
Thousands of House Republicans want the fencing around the U.S. Capitol to be removed. Barbed wire fencing was installed around the Capitol complex after the January 6th insurrection. Friday, a group of 42 House Republicans led by Congressman Ted Budd sent a letter to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. In it, they called for the removal of the fencing and for the National Guard troops to be sent home. They said they're concerned about reports the fencing may become permanent. Pelosi has not definitively said whether she supports permanent fencing around the Capitol. The IRS accidentally told thousands of Americans that they weren't receiving a stimulus check. The agency sent letters to more than 109,000 people stating that either part or all of their money would go to cover 2007 taxes. They now say the letters were a mistake. Instead, the letters were supposed to let people know that the IRS had not processed their 2019 return, so it couldn't issue their first relief payment. Those in this situation can still receive their stimulus, but they'll have to claim the recovery rebate credit on their 2020 tax return and wait for a refund. It's been almost a year of at-home learning for some students, and many are ready to be back in the classroom. But how to minimize the spread of COVID is still a big concern. Even with guidance and regulations, CDC officials say community spread must be down before it's safe for teachers and students to re-enter schools. Some teacher unions are resisting reopening amid fears of infection. President Biden has said he will work to reopen K-12 schools in his first 100 days, but made it clear he will defer to medical experts to dictate when that happens. If you violate the federal transportation face mask requirement, you may have to pay a fine. The Transportation Security Administration says the first offense is $250, and that can grow up to $1,500 for repeated violations. These penalties may be in addition to others imposed by companies like U.S. Airlines. Some have banned passengers who don't follow the rules. The Federal Aviation Administration also says it will crack down on anyone who disrupts a flight over wearing a mask. The federal mask requirement took effect last week. It requires face coverings on trains, planes, and buses. Newly released video shows the dramatic rescue of a skier who was mauled by a bear. The man had been skiing with two friends in the backcountry outside of Haines, Alaska on Saturday. A bear attack left him with injuries to his head and hands. A Coast Guard crew flew a helicopter from Air Station Sitka and were able to reach him. He was flown to Juneau and was placed in the care of emergency medics. The man's current condition is unknown, but he was responsive and talking during the rescue. The Coast Guard crew says the skiers had a GPS device and brightly colored fabric to signal the helicopter, which was crucial to their mission.
Now, KapKView First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And after a fairly mild weekend, we had numbers in the 50s Saturday, Sunday, 60s even out there on Friday. We have a pretty big drop in temperatures out there as we take you throughout this work week. It's actually going to be our coldest air so far of the season. 25 degrees below average, especially as we move towards the end of the work week. And then we're even looking at some snow chances to build in as well with some of these very frigid numbers. 47, that's typically where we sit at for this time of the year. There's that Arctic blast by the end of the work week. Our coldest day looks like it'll be on Friday. Of course, once you factor in some of those winds that we could be seeing out there as well, wind chills will be even colder than that, into the teens, and still hanging on to numbers in the 20s as we head into the upcoming weekend. So let's talk about the snow chances. Early this morning, most locations are dry. We still have a little bit of some mountain snow flying out there as well. Winter weather advisory still that is in place for the eastern slopes until 7 a.m. this morning, and then the Cascades, which does include Snoqualmie Pass in on that, so a couple more inches expected there. That winter weather advisory for Snoqualmie Pass goes until 4 o'clock for today, so there's still going to be some travel restrictions, of course, if you're going to be heading over the Cascades for the first half of the day today, and then we will see those improvements. So here are your mountain pass conditions. Still, there are chains required for Snoqualmie Pass. The snow is coming down pretty hard at times, and then even for White and Stevens Pass, we have traction tires which are required. Just some scattered clouds for Manastash, but no travel restrictions there. As you'll see throughout the day today, a lot of those snow chances will be winding down for the second half of the day today, so those improvements expected. And then pretty quiet for the next couple of days as these temperatures continue to drop. We are expecting that mostly sunny sky, even for your Wednesday afternoon, looking at some pretty quiet weather. But then by Thursday, this is when our snow chances will start to build in. So Thursday morning's commute, we could be looking at that snow flying at times, continuing for your Thursday afternoon, and this will be hanging on at least until early on Friday. Early indications right now, 1 to maybe 3 inches of snowfall, but certainly a system will continue to follow for you as we take you throughout the end of the work week. Now let's talk temperatures as you head on out the door this morning. 35 in Walla Walla, mid-20s in the Tri-Cities, 27 over in Yakima. We have those improvements for the majority of our area with those winds. The exception here along the foothills of the Blues will still be a bit breezy for today. Pendleton currently up to about 18 miles per hour. So as we get you over to your Monday forecast, mid-40s for Yakima with 47 today in Toppenish. Upper 40s as well in the Tri-Cities with 46 in Prosser. For Dayton today at 38, and then some low 40s for Walla Walla and Pendleton. So overnight tonight, it is going to be a bitterly cold night. Temperatures in the 20s for many locations with that partly cloudy sky. So there is your 7-day forecast. Sunshine through Wednesday, snow chances building in by the end of the work week, and even possibly another snow chance there on Saturday with a high of 25. And then that 7-day forecast for Yakima, we're looking at plenty of sun, mid-30s there on Wednesday. Take a look at some of those low temperatures, very close to about 10 degrees by Saturday morning. More snow chances for you as well Saturday with a high of 22.